Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second LTE internet plan with smartphone plan savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Hey everybody, this is Tracii from LA Guns, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4. The Brutally Delicious podcast. The Brutally Delicious podcast. The Brutally Delicious podcast. The Brutally Delicious podcast.
How are you, my friend? It's been a while. You doing okay?
Yeah. Just talking a lot right now.
Is the cycle almost done now? Because the record's out and you're...
Yeah. This is the last week.
Oh, good. What's been the response to it so far? Has it been pretty good?
It's been overwhelming. It's been, the vinyl sold out before it even came out. It's just, we've had really good luck on this so far.
Are you surprised at the response, considering you guys have been at this for so long, or?
Well, I mean, I'm always really grateful that, things always exceed what we kind of hope for.
Right.
So, that's why we keep making records. People keep buying them and they keep digging them, and we make them for ourselves, and it's fun, and we know they don't fall on deaf ears, so it's nice. It's a luxury these days.
Do you feel any sort of responsibility to be carrying that torch or that sword forward from that 80s scene? I mean, because you guys are still going strong and releasing really good music, and you, from the outside appearance, haven't seemed to self-destruct.
Right. I mean, every good thing comes to an end eventually, right? I don't know if I feel responsibility, but I definitely feel a lot of pride in, being kind of the one band that really continues to be creative in a way that the public still responds to it. That's not something you
and
can
still respects.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And we change, pretty often, within the genre of rock music. We kind of, go round and round in circles doing different things, but for us, it's just really fun, and I think that's the bottom line is we all really appreciate being in this band, and, it brings us good times. It's simple.
So this may not be appropriate, but what the hell? How will you know when it's time?
I won't, because I'll be dead.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's that. You go until it's over.
Then I was just reading somewhere Don Dawkins has said this is it. He's going to do this last year, and then he's done a couple more shows or something. I'm just curious if there was a criteria for out, or you just going to write it.
I think, in a vocalist case, you got to know when you can't do it anymore, and that's the downside of being a singer, is most singers have a shelf life, and Phil's really lucky. He just keeps getting stronger, and better, but he takes really good care of his voice, and he doesn't poison himself with toxins and things like that, so he takes it seriously. But I mean, even, at times he feels a little immortal or mortal,
Right.
you know, and we talk about it from time to time, but so far, you know, he's driving that train, you know, he's doing it.
You guys, since you've reignited, you seem to have like caught lightning in the bottle again, right? You're writing some of your best stuff. And
Yeah.
what's that like? I mean, you couldn't have imagined that was going to happen on a second time around, right?
No, you know, and we tested it, you know, we really did right from the get-go before we committed to getting back together and, you know, moving forward. You know, we had to see how everybody's personalities were working together. And also, you know, we did the first show, which was a hair metal festival here in LA. And I had asked if we could headline the second stage instead of playing at like 3 o'clock on the main stage. And that would be a real test to see, you know, all those hair metal fans, if they were still interested in us after, you know, Phil and I not playing together for 12 years at that point. And it worked out. You know, we went on at about 8:30 and we emptied out the pavilion, which was the main stage. And all those people came to this big meadow we were kind of playing in front of. And, you know, we knew right then, you know, like, wow, you know, like, okay, you know, we could do this. So that was step one. And then right away, we got 3 offers to do records at 3 different companies. And we went with Frontiers initially, just because they had the most money, you know. And we had a great relationship with them for, you know, the first 6 years. You know, we really did. You know, we made 4 records, a live record, a DVD, a Christmas EP. We did a lot of work with them. And, you know, then that came to an end and we were able to go to Cleopatra, which is based in LA. And I've been close with the president of that label since I was 19 years old, you know, so, you know, got to keep it fresh, got to keep it exciting, got to keep, you know, everybody happy. And as long as everybody's happy, then we can go forward.
What was it like when you guys are writing? Are you you said you're kind of, you know, all over that space in the hard rock scene or whatever, but are you intentionally trying to, you know, not write the previous record, or do you just write and it's a natural kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean that opinion changes from album to album. So when we came out with The Missing Piece, which was our first album after we got back together, it had such great success that we had to follow it up with something similar. You know, the people were digging the heavier sound and you know, darker, heavier, more aggressive. And then the next 2 records were kind of more of a blend of that heavy music mixed with some rock and roll music, you know, a little bit lighter. And then now we're at the point on the 5th record of us being back together where I really made a conscious effort to like, hey, let's do something completely fresh. And you know, talking to all the guys, like, you know, we're all into everything from, you know, new wave, punk rock, you know, 70s classic rock, like all those things, you know, as well. So we just decided to take a step back, you know, and kind of make an album that celebrates what we truly love. Like, you know, what do we want to hear? You know what I mean? What's the records that are missing from our collections that, you know, Bowie's not able to make anymore, the Dolls or the Stones or whatever it is, you know? And that was the intention of this record, you know, going in right from the get-go.
Were you ever worried that the fans wouldn't take the journey with you? Well, not really.
I always expect them not to. You know, I mean, LA Guns fans are really resilient, you know, because we've done this a few times, you know, in the past 40 years or however long it's been. And they come to the party. You know what I mean? That, you know, I kind of always get the vibe, you don't scare us. You know what I mean? And they always end up loving it, you know, and like right now, Okay, I'm surprised. Right now, I'm very surprised because the amount of attention the album's getting and people talking about individual songs already. The record hasn't even been out a week, and people are talking about favorite songs, and we're talking about what we're going to put in the live set. And, these are all really positive things. Like I said, the record sold out, the vinyl, even before the day it came out. That's the first time in the past 5 records that's happened. And I didn't know that until people started posting, that their Amazon orders and they couldn't find them here, and everything's been postponed. And then a bunch of people, like, before it came out, were posting their vinyl. They had gotten it early. So, there's been a lot of activity, surrounding it. And I think also, though, that the album cover and the name of the album is also an attractive thing. The whole leopard skin, culture that we're selling seems to be really fun for everybody.
So I think, and I guess speaking for me, because I'm a hardcore 80s guy, right? I grew up with you guys. You guys were like soundtrack of my life. And I think that whole period was about like a good time. If I can encapsulate it from where I was, they're like nothing but a good time. And I think that's why your music resonates so much, because there's so much shit going on everywhere else that you sort of need an escape and a way to just turn it up and, I don't know, do the skinny bop. I know that's not you, but you know what I'm saying? Just kind of.
Yeah, I think culturally, music either reflects the times or rebels against the times, or tries to lighten the mood, in strange times. We're definitely in strange times. And historically with the band, like we put a song out, Let You Down, right after we had been in lockdown for 2 months. We wrote this song, and it's really reflective of the time. It's really dark, and it was really well received in a crazy way. And all we did is release it on YouTube. It didn't come out on an album for like a year and a half later. But we've done that. Like right now we've done that. We're great at writing suicidal music. Not suicidal tendencies. Murder, not murder ballads, but suicide ballads. And we snuck one on here even. But overall, it is about the celebration of fun, upbeat, groovy, funky rock. And we're really looking forward to going on tour this time. It's not going to be the super metal set. It'll still be high energy and loud and heavy, but we're a little bit more upbeat these days.
So 2 more for you then. One, I know you said you released the album, and so that brings me to the art of sequencing is something that's like, I think, totally been disregarded these days, right? And I think there's an art to putting a record together where you create that ebb and flow, and you take everything on a journey. How difficult was it that to do, and what are your thoughts on that? Because that's something that's missing totally, right?
Well, yeah, with us, it's interesting the way we make records. Adam and I, our studio drummer, he and I, we write the bulk of the music and the arrangements and the recording. We do all that. So, for example, Taste It was the first song that we put together musically, and then, say, well, what's next? So we kind of write that track list on the way. Like, oh, okay, this has this is that.
Right. So you're writing sort of in that order.
Exactly. And then, historically rock songs are in the key of A or the key of E. So we do a good balance of key changes, throughout every record and the live set. So, you get to the end of record. There's only 10 songs on this record. Normally we do 11. So at the end, we had, Adam and I kind of have this structure to how the album is laid out. But then at that point, all those songs go to Phil and his writing partner, this guy, Mitch Davis. And as those start coming back and they're finished and we hear all the songs complete and we're all freaking out and like, wow. Sometimes that track list changes just because now the vocals add a whole different dimension to the songs. But with an album like this, where there's quite a few different styles, it's easy to do it. You know, you just want to hit hard. You want to go on a journey, and then you want to leave everybody feeling good. You know, that's kind of, it's kind of like a movie plot, you know, or a story, you know, kind of thing. And you know, this one was easier than most, but but then when it comes to like the live set, that's Johnny Martin's forte, like, you know, because he still is able to see the band from the outside more than Phil and I, what the live audience and how that should flow. And I really put a lot of faith in him, and he's right 100% of the time, you know? So yeah, set list is very important. Running order. Yeah.
So then last one then. So I saw you guys have some dates coming up, and then what are your plans for the rest of the year? Is it just tour?
Yeah, it's a lot of touring starting in Warrendale, Pennsylvania on April 22nd. We have a little break in June, beginning of July. We have a few shows even then. And then we hit the road with Tom Kiefer at the end of July.
Right, yeah.
And those dates just keep getting added, you know, and so right now we're through the end of the year, and I know that we're going beyond that. So, you know, I'm practicing, I'm putting my equipment together, you know, I'm trying to figure out the songs, you know, and I'm doing 3 interviews a day for the past 2 months. So busy.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time though. I know you're busy and your thing, but I also appreciate your contributions to the metal scene or the music scene, man. You're a soundtrack of my life. So definitely late 80s kind of guy. So I was there along for the ride.
Oh, see, I'm done. That's the success right there.
Yep,
I hear that.
Been along for the ride, seen you playing on the Sunset Strip back in the day and that whole thing. So yeah, I mean, I've seen you since then on other tours here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those days clear as can be.
The skinny days.
Yeah, did you guys play Lemoore in Brooklyn?
Yeah. We played Lemore's.
I'm pretty sure I saw you there too, because I used to live right there. That's where I grew up.
Yeah, we played there twice. And the guy next door with the Italian restaurant used to make the food for the bands that would get. And I'll never forget these ricotta shells that he made. You know, that was 30 years ago, you know, and I'm still like thinking about that guy's shells. But I also remember the Lemore's gigs were always the hottest gigs. Like my God, you could be there in winter and it was just, you know, sweat dripping off everywhere.
And there was like a few years where I was there every Friday, Saturday, and whatever, any other night too. Just, that was the place.
Yeah. What a scene, man. What a scene.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for the music, and thank you so much for your time, man. Good luck with the record. Hopefully I'll catch you on this coast somewhere. I'm in Richmond, so I don't know if you're coming this way, but
we are.
Oh, good. Yeah, then I'll catch up with you for sure.
All right.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hello out there.
Hi, I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. We want to tell you about our podcast, None But the Brave, which is dedicated to taking a deep dive into the work of Bruce Springsteen.
We're currently in our 5th season. Our latest episodes focus heavily on Bruce's 2024 tour and have featured such guests as Anthony Castrovince from MLB Network and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
We're also covering the 40th anniversary of Bruce's biggest record, Born in the USA. And as part of that, coming up this week, Uprock's cultural critic Stephen Hyden returns to the show for a fascinating hour-long conversation about his new book, There Was Nothing You Could Do, Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA and the End of the Heartland.
To listen, you can go to our website, mbtbpodcast.com, or subscribe on your preferred podcasting platform.
We hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.
Every listener to Too Much Effing Perspective knows that my co-host Alan Keller is a music nerd. And right up there in his pantheon with the Beatles and Elvis Costello is The Clash. So Alan, it's one thing for you to be a nerd, but how did you rope in a cool guy, 311's Nick Hexum, into a full-on Clash geek fest on our show?
Well, first of all, Alex, it was your idea.
Oh, right.
Second, Nick actually jammed with The Clash's Joe Strummer in a supergroup that included Flea and Tom Morello.
Okay, well, there is that.
And finally, one member of The Clash cited This Is Spinal Tap, the reason our show even exists, as his favorite movie.
Which one?
Hey, if you want to find out, you got to listen to Too Much Effing Perspective. That's Too Much EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.